Hello everyone, Chris Campbell here in the shop once again. We're working on this old Ogee clock. These are the gears out of the cleaner and they have all been polished. As you can see, we have a mirror style finish. I've already done most of the repairs to save time on videos. So I have actually repaired the lanyard pinions that were broke. We've also sharpened up some of the teeth on the count gear that was a little bit bent. Let's see. We're going to remove the cable that has been broke and repair it and replace it. But this is the shiny piece. This is the second great wheel. And of course we have our back plate, which has been completely cleaned, and our front plate. I've actually put in 3 bushings, so I put in a bushing here, here, and here. And we've cleaned up the movement. So, now we're going to go through a little bit of the workings of this clock. So this is considered the J-hook. This is what sets the strike in motion so that the clock will strike. These are precisionally made and bent. Whenever you're working on a clock this old, you do not want to alter or remove any of the bends or make any adjustments, because that will completely mess up the clock. When they made these back then, they made it precisionally to where it will work for this particular clock. So you always want to take good care in protecting these pieces here. The same goes with the strike mechanism. This is a 3-tier mechanism part. So we have our count wheel stop here. We have our warning pin lever here. And then we have our cam stop lever here. Now this piece of wire that you see here sticks out of the clock itself, so I'm going to pretend that my fingers are the plate and my middle finger is the warning wheel. So let's say that the clock is showing 7 p.m. but it's striking 6, and you don't want to advance the hour hands, so you would use this little wire piece here, lift up, and that would automatically make the clock strike to the right time. It basically puts it in sync without having to reset the hands. It was just a neat little feature that they used way back then. Alright, this is the hammer. Again, they bent these pieces, precisely bent, to fit the particular clock that they made. Each little arm and each bend is bent in a way that it is matched up with this particular movement, and you don't want to alter or remove anything out of the ordinary. This is the fly, or the governor. This is the governor wheel with the lanyard pinion. So what we're going to do is go ahead and install the fly, or the governor, and we're going to rotate it to make sure that it's locked in place, and that is the way it should work. The pivots have also been polished, and I'm going to share with you in a moment how we do that. This is one wheel that I have not cleaned and I have polished, and I'm going to show you how we do that. So to first start off, I'm going to be using a tiny bit of Brasso. We've already got it out of the cleaner, and I'm just going to put just a tiny little bit right there. Okay, that's all you need, just a tiny little bit. Going to get an old toothbrush, and you're just going to work it back and forth in your hand. Move the gears around and get all the little nooks and crannies, the crevices. We're going to do this to both sides of the gear only. Make sure that it's good and clean. This actually helps protect the brass. It keeps it from pitting or getting pits. And you would be surprised that rust can develop on brass, the patina, and that can stop a clock from working. It's not the same type of rust as on steel or metal, but it's a patina that creates a thick film. Kind of like when you leave a penny out in the weather and it turns green and then it gets really crusty. So the same effect happens to these. Okay, now I'm going to use the tack cloth and just polish it out with my hands. Sorry about that, my camera stopped on me. But this is the finished product. We've done both sides. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and put it in our jeweler's lathe and polish the arbor and the pivots. And I'll show you how that works. Here we go. Alrighty. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and put it in our little jeweler's lathe. Open this up. Alright. We'll make sure that it's running through. I'm just going to use a small little file. Okay. Now we'll do the other side. And as you can see, you want to rub your fingers across it. It is smooth, no burrs, no rough spots. So we'll lock this piece in. Make sure that it's running through. Okay. Okay. And that is how we polish the pivots in the arbor. And as you can see, that is a nice, shiny, even finish of the arbor and the pinions. Alright, so the next part we're going to do is go over some of the other repairs, and I'm going to polish the pendulum. So this is it. Alright, so what we have here now is the pendulum. As you can see, it's kind of tarnished and dull. So we're going to add a little bit of Brasso, just a tiny bit. Get our toothbrush and just work it in all the way around. Now for this particular service, this is what I would consider a complete movement overhaul. For any type of American-made clock, where we have to take the plates completely apart, clean it, polish it, put bushings in, do repairs, I charge around $175 to $200 to do this service. There are a lot of clock shops out there that does this exact same thing, but they charge $500 to $600. In one of my past videos, I showed or told you how I weigh out the pros and the cons of that. I actually get in more work by not charging an arm and a leg, but I do quality work. I stand behind my work and I get more repeat customers than some of my competition does. And so therefore I can offer the service at the prices that I do and still make a living, which I get in about 10 clocks a week to do complete overhauls and services and on, where the ones that charge $500 and $600 may get in 2 or 3 a month. So that tells you a little bit there. All right, and that is the new pendulum. And isn't that a beauty? We're going to do some more fine polishing, but that's the logistics of how we polish a clock movement. This is the cannon pinion that we have polished. This is the arbor. It had a lot of rust on the main arbor and pitting, and it was sticking when we first got it. So now it's smooth and it turns freely, which is what you want. I also made this bushing or washer to fit the plate here, and the count wheel will fit here, and that way it'll give it about 3 millimeters worth of depth to make it accurately rotate and smooth operations. Before, it didn't have this, and it was wearing on the plate and dragging, and that can also cause it to hang up and stop. So that's something that I did to make it where it would work. Now we're going to measure our cord so I can replace this cord. And let's see. So we're at 1.7 millimeter cord. And on the strike side, this particular cord is 44 inches. So I already know the length. I just need to know the thickness. So I'm going to order a cord that's in that thickness and cut it to 44 inches. Now the time side is a little bit shorter. It's at 24 inches. So I will replace that also. All right. So one thing that we're going to do now is test fit a couple of the gears. We'll go ahead and do this one. So what we're going to do is lock this into place. We want to run and check our smoothness in the plate. And line up our little pivot. There we go. And what we're checking now is just to be sure that it runs smooth and does not stop. I'm sorry, my camera got slipped. We want to make sure that it comes to a complete stop slowly and doesn't make any sudden jolts or stops. And it does. That's perfect. That's what we want. What you don't want is it to come to a stop like that. That means then it's binding on something or hanging. You want it to slowly slow down and come to a stop. Just like so. That's perfect timing. That's good. Now we're going to check our end shake. We have good end shake. Side to side shake is good. No wears. Alright. So that is good. I've already checked the other wheels. I just wanted to check this one with that new bushing. I also cleaned up and polished the C-clip for the count wheel. Alright. So next we are going to repair the cables, and then we will start hooking the hooks together, and then after that we will start doing our final assembly, setting up the strike side, timing it, and then we will oil it, and then we will do a final test before we put it into our test stand. So stay tuned for that. Have a wonderful evening.